NRCS's mission is to address resource concerns on working agricultural land. And so we welcome any type of working agricultural land, whatever that is. And diversity in agriculture obviously is a goal and something that we are very much embracing. I'm a natural resources specialist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, usually called NRCS. We are an agency of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and I manage our EQIP program for Missouri. And another acronym, EQIP, is Environmental Quality Incentives Program. So what we do is we assist agricultural producers with addressing resource concerns on their working agricultural land. And resource concerns, as defined by our agency, is addressing things like soil erosion. So we deal with soil, water resource concerns, so water quality, water quantity, air quality, plants and animals, for especially like monarch initiatives, things like that, species of concern. Of course, domestic livestock health and well-being. So we, like to help with managed grazing systems, making sure livestock have access to clean water, that they're not in streams and water bodies and creating pollution. But when we talk about resource concerns, that's what we're referring to. Under EQIP, we have some practices that are what's called agroforestry practices. So windbreaks, riparian forest buffers, alley cropping, silvo pasture, very classic agroforestry practices. And so we are able to implement those practices under EQIP to address resource concerns. So it's very much a part of our program. We have also expanded that in Missouri to include woody crop production. So it may not necessarily be planting the woody crops in the configurations of agroforestry, but that would also qualify if it's addressing a resource concern. The main criteria we have, especially for financial assistance under EQIP, is that planting is addressing a resource concern. I wouldn't say there's a limitation that it has to be edible woodies. So if that planting is addressing a resource concern, say we're going from annual crop production to a perennial production system, and so that we're going to address soil erosion with that. And that perennial system might include a combination of edible woody crops. It could be fruit tree production, so any of those would qualify. NRCS can provide both technical assistance or financial assistance. To be eligible, you might be the owner of the land, you might be the operator, or you might have some other affiliation with that land. The technical assistance is sort of the basis of everything we do. We hire and staff our offices with a lot of technical experts, so agronomists, biologists, foresters, and so that's what they're there to do, is to help people and give people advice. And we have lots of technical documents that are generated by our agency that are available free to the public. All kinds of specifications and standards for every conservation practice that we offer. So how to build fence, how to put your corner posts in correctly so they don't sag. We can do engineering designs. We have a lot of engineers on staff for more like structural practices. So that's all available as a service to participants. And then beyond that, if somebody's coming in and their goals and objectives on their operation meet the goals and objectives of one of our programs, then we may be able to work with them for financial assistance as well to implement practices. So under NRCS, we have several financial assistance programs. Of course, we have EQIP that we're talking about. We also have the Conservation Stewardship Program, which is CSP, is the acronym for that. We also have programs like Grassland Reserve Program, Wetland Reserve. It used to be called the Wetland Reserve Program. It's now called WRE. And so those are all opportunities under NRCS. Through FSA, there are other programs. Farm Service Agency, which is a sister agency under USDA, they manage the Conservation Reserve Program, CRP, which is another very popular conservation program. So anybody who thinks they might be interested in assistance from NRCS, whether it be technical assistance or financial assistance or a combination, reach out to the local office, as soon as possible. We don't just year-round have money to hand out for people. We have sort of batching periods in the year where we take all of our applications, then we rank them, and then we have a funding period where we offer contracts. And so that is definitely a conversation to have with the local planner if you're interested in financial assistance, is how that our timeline fits into your goals and objectives for your operation. Or we may not be able to accommodate the timeline that the participant has. You know, would a year and a half from now be adequate? Would 2 years from now for that contract to actually get in place be adequate for the goals and objectives of your farm? Pretty much every county in Missouri has a USDA service center where our staff are housed, and you can find that service center on our website. It's nrcs.usda.gov. There's a contact us link on there, and then you click your state and your county, and it'll give you all the information about who's the manager for that office and the email and phone number. When you initially make contact with the local office, most likely the first meeting is just going to be a brief introduction to ask you questions, get to know you and your operation, and how we can best assist. So the main thing to expect with that first visit is just to get to let them know who you are, that you're interested in working with them, and probably from there would be to set up an appointment. Now, it may be an appointment to come back into the office at some time when they'll have time to sit down with you and have a nice conversation, or it could be an appointment that they'll meet you out at your farm. Kind of see the lay of the land, talk to you some more about what you're looking to do, and then from there that conversation can evolve into what sort of assistance we can provide. If your goals and objectives meets the objectives of a financial assistance programs, then that's where that conversation can happen, and then we can talk further about maybe the timing, when you would apply, sort of what the cycle is for those programs, and see if that fits your operation. Do you pretty much know what you want on your farm and you're really just looking for where maybe our assistance can fit into that? Or are you coming in really wide open, have no idea, or looking for ideas? So the relationship could vary. You may be in a county where our planners have not had a lot of experience working with somebody looking at woody crop production or agroforestry. So some of that may be sort of a mutual educational thing that might happen. And so there's a lot of different ways that that relationship could evolve. The contract outlines a timeline for when you're going to implement what practice. After you complete one of those practices, you let the office know, and then they'll do what's called a checkout. Make sure that you implement it according to our standards and specs. And the reason we have those is to ensure that that when those practices are installed based on our standard specifications, that they will be successful. And let us know it's complete. We'll check it out, make sure it's okay, meet standards and specs, and then we'll make the payment. And so that's sort of how that works. Now, once your contract's over, then it's up to you what relationship you want to continue. Do you want to go into another contract later, expand what you've done, enhance it? There's other programs to look at. And then maybe you have another practice scheduled the next year. So you work on implementing that. Once you complete it, let NRCS know. Of course, anytime along the way, if you have questions about how to implement or what's in your contract, you can work with NRCS. So as far as the size of operation we work on, we do not have a minimum or a maximum. Obviously, the way some of the structure of financial assistance of some of our programs are set up, they may pay on a per acre basis. That when you have a very small operation, sometimes just the financial assistance doesn't necessarily pan out. But certainly the technical assistance is there for anybody to utilize. But as far as who we'll work with, there's no limit.